all around the planet. And one day, this realization hit me that we can make so many endeavors to get on deeper levels of chanting. But if we don't parallel to that, also make endeavors to subdue and dissolve our false ego, then we are not getting anywhere. Then our chanting, we can compare to an elephant taking bath. What does he do? As soon as he gets out of the water, he takes it with his trunk all the dust and throws it back on his back. And that's exactly what's happening with us. That even after making all these endeavors to chant, we just go back to our false ego patterns of behaviors and we're trapped there. And therefore, this topic of false ego is worthwhile giving a bit more attention, also because it's so subtle that very easily we don't even identify it. We completely miss to understand that the bigger the false ego is, the less we can see it. So one would think it should be the other way around, that the more prominent the false ego is, the more we see it. But no. And I had this, interesting episode one day. There's one Mataji in Europe, who has a very prominent false ego. And as a result of that, she always gets herself into conflicts and troubles. So at some stage, she was a little frustrated about it and somewhat turned to me and revealed her mind. And I thought, all right, let me just very carefully give her the hint what the problem is. And I know that the false ego does not like to be poked. So I was very careful. So I was simply saying, well, I guess the false ego always gets us into trouble. And then her response, she was laughing it off, saying, false ego, come on, what's that? I don't have that. That was her response. And I was speechless. I thought, my God, how is it possible that when a person has such a dominant and prominent false ego, they truly believe they don't have a false ego? My God, I first didn't know what to answer. And then I simply said, well, I guess I wish I could say this about myself. That's all I said. I wish I could say that about myself, that I don't have a false ego. That's all I said. I didn't try to say anything more than that, because I realized no use. If a person, is in the state of mind that they can't even think and reflect and so on, then I thought no need to say anything more than that. And I also remember some other time I gave that seminar in Vrindavan. And then afterwards, one Mataji who's been practicing for 15, 20 years, sincerely, she came up to me and she said, oh, thank you so much for giving the seminar. Now I realize I actually have a false ego. And she said, I always thought this was some philosophical, theoretical thing which has no relevance for me. But now I realize it does. So even after 15, 20 years of practice, people don't even realize that they think it has no relevance to them. Yes. So all these little episodes, were giving me that idea, yes, it's worthwhile talking about this and exploring it a bit more. And then also another thing, of course, having been around for almost 40 years now, and I'm always observing and analyzing. And yeah, we often come across this, that, we get pretty attached to title, power, position, designations, even after so many years of practice. But the Shastra promises detachment. So I was, scratching my head and thinking somehow we're missing something. Otherwise, why would this be quite a common thing, that, we can almost fall into an identity crisis, when we somehow give up our position, because we identify so much with it. And then, whoops, what am I now? Who am I? Yeah, Vaishnava. Yeah, all right, Vaishnava servant. But no, who am I? So sometimes I had that response of devotees, who were in that situation that it was in the air, that they had to give up their position. That, and I was just saying to that person, well, there's life beyond being ... I'm not... What am I then? Oh, Vaishnava, servant. Yeah, all right, but still, who am I? So yeah, we can fall into these almost fearsome identity crisis, thinking, what am I now? Who am I? And so it just shows, that this is such a subtle topic, which maybe we are not addressing enough or something, So all these things together, gave me that inspiration to explore this topic a bit more. And also it has helped me a lot also to recognize how my false ego gets into my way. And it's almost every day. And we don't even realize it. We miss it, So maybe in these 3 sessions we will have here, it may help us to be more aware and conscious and mindful of it. Because Prabhupada was always saying, before becoming Krishna conscious, we actually have to become conscious first. Yes, and often we are just so unconscious, just not even mindful of what effect our words, our activities have on others, and why we say things, and. Yes, so let us remember, so the soul is covered by the gross body, made from earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then we also have the subtle body of mind, intelligence, false ego. So here we have it. So false, I prefer if you have it a little up, because otherwise I feel I have to strain my voice so much. For men's voice, they're more strong, but yeah, my voice is really fragile. So it was fine before, wasn't it? Is it? Okay. All right. Yeah, so subtle body made from mind, intelligence, false ego. So yeah, there we have it. False ego is the most subtle element of the subtle material body. And as I said, it's so subtle that we very easily miss it. Yeah. And interestingly, like in the gross body, hard to distinguish where is the earth, water, fire, air, ether, right? You show me where's the earth in your body or the fire, It's all intertwined, it's all mixed, and you can't really distinguish them, you know. And a similar thing is also happening in the subtle body. So mind, intelligence, false ego, they affect each other backwards, forwards. Hard to really separate them. Yes. Interestingly, the false ego uses the mind and intelligence as tools to get what it demands. Yes, that's how it works. So very often, let's say when we chant our japa, we may think, oh yeah, the mind is so uncontrolled. But actually, if we look a little deeper, we realize, no, behind the mind is actually the false ego. And the root cause is the false ego. And it uses the mind, you know, to harass us. And all these monologues and dialogues are going there on in circles. And you know, so behind it is actually the false ego. And the mind is just a tool. So therefore, just to try and pull the mind back and hear, well, it's a good start, but it's not everything, you know. Yes. Yeah. So unless we really work on dissolving the false ego, this whole boxing match with the mind will continue because the root cause is the false ego. Like that. Yeah. So interesting to understand. Yes. So, and of course, we also know that mind, intelligence, false ego, they take the soul to the next ghost body at the moment of death, you know. So, and only if we really completely transform, spiritualize that subtle body, you know, and yeah, replace all the material aspects of the subtle body with spiritual aspects, with spiritual desires, attachments, and impressions, and so the whole subtle body has to be completely spiritualized and transformed, and only then we can go back to Godhead, you know. So it requires quite some work, right? And if there is a false ego, then surely there has to be also a true ego. In a nutshell, false ego makes us think to be something which we are not. That's what the false ego does, making us think that we are something which we are not. So, and the true ego is Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. I am eternal servant. That's the true identification, the true ego, we can say. Yes. So, and this false ego starts working already at very young age, actually, already as a small child, false ego kicks in. I remember once I was visiting one family. They had a little daughter. She was around 1 year of age. She could barely walk, but she could not speak. And while I was talking to the parents in the lounge room, the girl was bringing all her toys from her room. And I didn't give it much importance, you know. All right, she's getting her toys out. And then the mother said, she wants to show off her toys because you are here. And I thought, oh my God, you know, that's when it already starts. We can't even talk yet, you know, but there the false ego kicks in. I look at my toys and they're so special. And because they're my toys, that's why I am so special. So that's basically what the false ego is whispering there, you know. Yeah, so already at such young age, this false ego pushes us to show off and be the center and bring attention to ourselves. And actually it starts even before 1 year of age, already smaller, you know. Kids throw their tantrums and want to get their way through and bring attention to themselves and you know. Yes. So, and then as a human being grows up, you know, we accept all these designations. You know, it starts with, yes, I'm a little boy, I'm a little girl. So, and then, yes, I'm Scottish, British, German, Indian. And then, yes, now I'm a student. And, you know, so we accept so many upadis, so many identifications. And yes, then I may grow up and get married. Okay, now I'm father, mother, husband, wife. And then I'm a doctor, professor. Or when we join Krishna consciousness, it doesn't end there. You know, I'm a brahmacharya, I'm a grihastha, I'm the head pujari, I'm the temple president, I'm a Sankirtan leader, and I'm a good Sankirtan devotee, and. You know, so yes, the layer of upadis, of designations, becomes thicker and thicker as we go through life. And certainly, they are all roles we are playing in life, right? We have so many roles. Like in the temple, we may have one role, and then if we are married in family life, we have another role. Or even if we visit our parents, so then we have another role. We are the child, the son, the daughter, whatever. And at work, in the office, we have another role. So yeah, we definitely play so many roles in life. And we can compare them with hats, with caps we are wearing at certain times, right? But we are not the cap or hat. No, we're just wearing it at certain times, you know. Yes. Of course, we may even feel, oh, this hat is so special. This is a part of me. And my God, when I lose it, oh, I lost a part of myself or something. But as a rule, you know, we don't identify that much with different caps or hats we may be wearing. But somehow with these roles, we are identifying so much, you know. So let me ask you, why are we identifying so much with these roles? What is it? Why is this identification coming about? Anybody has a clue? Let's be a bit interactive here. Yes? Yes. And what else? Yes. So, yeah, we're getting closer. So what exactly does it do?
To identify with our true selves.
Yes, well, we said that already. So, but why exactly do we identify? What is it?
Could it be we like seeking attention?
Yes, well, these roles give us a certain kind of importance, right? Yes, some little recognition. The more recognition and importance it gives us, the more we identify with it, because that's exactly what the false ego is hankering for, to enjoy this kind of importance and recognition, being somebody, you know? That's exactly what the false ego likes to enjoy. Yes. Yes. So, yeah, you know, there's so many different roles where we get some enjoyment, some sense of importance, right? Yeah, let's do a quick little exercise. 2 minutes. Just share with your neighbor which role, which hat is the most dear one to you. And when you think of having to give it up, it's worse than death. That's how much we are attached to it. Quickly get together just for 2 minutes. Just to. Okay, Guru Premanandi, Holy, Holy Bol. Yeah, maybe just reflecting a little, makes us a little more conscious. Yeah, what cap hat is my main one, Yes, yes. I mean, for ladies, very often it is just the simple one of I am a mother, that can be a pretty deep one, especially when we are happily with heart and soul a mother. Ooh, hard to give up, yes. And then when the kids are 15, 16, then the mother has to take off this I am the mother's hat. And she has to put on the I am the friend hat. And this is a tough one often for mothers, because they have sacrificed so much and always, for so many years they had to be in control and correct and discipline and all that. So, yeah, and to put that aside can be a real challenge. Sometimes even when the son is 45, the mother still, corrects him and instructs him and can't stop it. That's how deep this I'm the mother's hat is, yes. Which doesn't mean we shouldn't go through it. That would be the wrong conclusion. No, we should go through it, and then it leads to true detachment, when we can actually give up that hat and let go of it. And okay, now different phase. My time is over as mother, where I'm correcting and instructing and all that. Yes. And I mean, not wanting to pick on anybody, but yeah, I'm a brahmachari hat can be a pretty deep one, Yes, because there's a lot of glory coming with us, Yes, and sometimes we can see that even if a person is actually not really properly situated in that ashram, but out of attachment to this, this I'm a brahmachari, people often find it difficult to accept that now it's time to move on or something, Yes. So yeah, these identifications, especially if there's a little bit of glory and recognition coming along with it, very deep, you know. Yes. So also Prabhupada, I mentioned it a couple of times maybe already, but Prabhupada in one purport, I think 5th canto somewhere, he gives this nice analogy of saying that life in the material world is like a nonsensical stage performance. So that's actually exactly what life in the material world is, you know. And we can imagine every lifetime like a performance on the stage. And okay, this life I am an Indian lady, woman's body. Okay, running. I'm so busy. I've got so many important things to do. Busy. So, and then death comes, curtain closes, show is over. It's all finished, you know? And then next life, maybe German man's body or something. Same thing again, nonsensical stage performance starts. We're taking it really in. Oh, yes, I am a German man. I'm so busy, so many important things to organize. And running. And again, curtain closes, show is over. So then maybe next life, dog in Sweden, you know? Dog also has gross body, subtle body. Dog's mind, dog's intelligence, definitely a big false ego, the dogs, you know. Yes, barking. This is my property. Get out of here. Oh, I'm so busy, so important while here. And, you know, so it's the false ego that entangles us again and again, lifetime after lifetime, into this nonsensical stage performance, you know. Yes. Yeah, so it's a nice way to put it, you know, nonsensical stage performance. Prabhupada's choice of combinations of words is sometimes very unique, you know, and it gets the point very nicely across. So also, let us imagine, you know, we think ourselves to be something which we are not. Can that be a peaceful situation? No. There has to be so much anxiety coming along with that. Always having to pretend to be something which we are actually not. There cannot be any peace, you know, as long as false ego is there, you know, always making us think that we are something which we are not, cannot be peaceful. Let us imagine, you know, we are like the cleaner in a big company. So, and then one day we proclaim, so I am the director now. Well, that would bring a lot of anxiety along. You know, how do I make everybody believe that I am the director? And what if they realize I'm actually not the director? My God, you would have sleepless nights. And then, you know, after a few days, we may say, actually, it was just a joke. I'm actually just the cleaner. Oh, thank God, you know, I don't have to try and be something which I'm not, right? Yeah, so that would be a great relief, you know, not having to pretend to be something which we are actually not. So in the same way, as our false ego gradually becomes subdued and dissolved, proportionally we become more and more peaceful. That, oh yes, all I have to be is humble servant. I don't have to try and be a big controller and enjoyer and proprietor and whatnot, you know. But no, actually, all I have to do is simply serve, humbly serve. Oh, what a relief, you know. Yes. So in Bhagavad Gita 1858, Krishna makes an interesting statement there. He basically gives us two choices two options of acting. So option number one is, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. So that's the option number one, acting in consciousness of Krishna, which means, what does it mean? Well, what does it mean? Yeah, that's one thing, following the instructions and recommendations of Krishna. But in connection with our discussion here, what does it mean? Acting in consciousness of Krishna. Huh? Yeah, understanding I am servant. Acting in that mood of I am servant. Not just saying it, but deeply from the heart, realizing it, you know? Like we sign every email off with you servant. So it's pretty easy to say. But yeah, at the same time, we may make so many plans and ideas to control and enjoy, you know, so then we actually don't know that I'm servant, you know. So yeah, to actually realize and work in that consciousness of I am servant, you know, that actually means false ego is almost dissolved. You know, the true identification, the true ego of I am servant, we are acting in that mood. So, if we act in that consciousness, then Krishna promises we will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by His grace. Wow, amazing. And we have also that example in the Bhagavatam, that this, you know, ocean, that this ocean of material existence, which is insurmountable, can very nicely be overcome, you know, and that ocean shrinks to a size of the hoofprint of a car filled with water. Can we take this incense out of it? Exhausted. Yeah, maybe yeah, so that's the amazing thing, you know, that this insurmountable ocean of material existence shrinks to the size of a hoofprint of a calf filled with water. Not even cow, but calf. So if you go for a walk across the field and you step over a footprint of a calf filled with water, is that going to be a big deal? No, it's not. You don't even notice it, you know. So that's the magic which Krishna is doing, you know, by us working in that mood of servants. We can overcome all the challenges, all the miseries, all the obstacles, you know, and it becomes like a print of a cow filled with water. You don't even notice it, no big deal. You can easily just step over it. So that's the option number one, which Krishna is doing. Then the option number two is, if, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not fearing me, you will be lost. So that's the option number two Krishna is giving us, right? So if we act through false ego, not fearing, that's what false ego does. It blocks the ears, blocks the intelligence. We can't hear, we can't understand. So then we get ourselves into trouble, you know, at the latest, at the moment of death, when we have to do another round in the material world. but already so many times before, you know. And it's actually a very practical thing that when we look back in our life, and look at some situations where we were facing some unpleasant challenges, you know, some miseries, looking back, we may be realizing that, yes, I was acting through false ego. I wanted to be the controller. I wanted to know better, you know, and I wanted to be the hero who saves the situation, or I wanted to show off, or whatever, you know. It's rather subtle. And at that moment, we may just not be able to see it at all. But then maybe a few years later, after getting a bit of purification and after, having a bit more aloofness to the situation, we may realize, yeah, no wonder that I got myself into trouble, because I was motivated by the false ego, trying to, control or enjoy, or it's mine, or whatever, you know. Yes. So it's very practical, you know, it's something to keep in mind. Even when we face some challenges in life, you know, everyday life brings so many challenges. So good to try and make these 2 steps back and ask ourselves, what am I trying to do here? Am I actually servant? Or am I trying to enjoy, control, be the master? And then we can detect just being servant actually brings the solution to every problem. It really works, you know, even in marriage problems or whatever it may be, you know. Yes, if I'm actually a servant, that solves any problem. It's magic, you know. Let us imagine an example. You know, let's say we are a traveling preacher, we are scheduled to give somewhere the Sunday feast lecture. And then unexpectedly, some more senior person comes, some Maharaj, and then devotees say to us, or maybe Maharaj should give the class. So if we are in a servant mood, we will say, yes, sure, no problem. You know, all I want to do is serve. So I can serve by hearing or I can serve by speaking. Not an issue. But, you know, if we are not in the servant mood, then we may get all agitated. What? I was scheduled to give the Sunday program. I hardly ever come here. What is this? You know, and now that, you know, I'm missing my chance to meet the audience here, and I'm not going to visit here again. This is ridiculous. You know, we may get all agitated. You know, so why do we get agitated? Because we are not servant. We want to enjoy the situation of being the speaker there or something, you know. Yeah, or even when, let's say, we are the Sankirtan leader, and then the temple president comes, says, oh, actually, we decided maybe somebody else should do the service of being the Sankirtan leader. So if we're in the mood of servant, sure, fine, all I want to do is serve. I thought I can serve as the Sankirtan leader, but if you have a different idea, okay, please suggest, how can I serve? All I want to do is serve. No issue, you know. But if we want to, you know, if we're not the servant, we want to somehow enjoy this position of being the Sankirtan leader, oh, then it will be a whole thing, you know, and a whole big drama to replace somebody. You know, yeah, so being servant actually indeed offers the solution, you know, yeah, it really works. And now this verse actually gives us also another understanding, namely that there are two motivating forces in life, right? There is the motivating force of I'm the servant, and there is the false ego motivating force. Yes. So in material life, of course, the false ego motivating force is what leads to success. I want to become a doctor, lawyer, this, that, the other thing. So we strive in this ambitiousness for that to achieve, that designation. That's the way in material life how people are motivated. But then in Vaishnav life, striving for bhakti, there all we have to concentrate on is to cultivate that motivating force of all I want to do is serve. That's the path to success there. Yes. But because we are surrounded by materialistic influences, propaganda, culture, it is very subtle, and we are a product of this. We may think that, oh yes, I'm making my decisions and all that, but no, we are not. We are a product of our surroundings completely. So therefore, very easily, we take this ambitious false ego motivating force into yes. And it's also very practical that naturally, if a person is humbly, selflessly serving, then naturally more service will come to that person, sometimes too much. Because naturally, our seniors recognize, oh, this person is serving so nicely, actually gets things done, is reliable, punctual, committed, so, and we all want Krishna consciousness to spread. So naturally that will attract, more service, and it attracts Krishna's merciful glance upon us, because especially when it comes to preaching or, holy name, spreading the holy name and all that, we actually need some little empowerment of the Lord. We, out of our own strength, we can't really transform people's hearts. We need that mercy, that empowerment. And we will not attract it through ambitious false ego motivation. Krishna is not attracted by that because it's not selfless, right? Yes. Ambitiousness means we want to get the credit. We want to get the glory. We're actually doing these things for our glorification, not for Krishna's or Guru's or Prabhupada's glorification. So that will not attract that empowerment. Yeah, so I think this is a pretty important thing to understand, because, yeah, as I'm saying, life is becoming more and more materialistic, and that's the path to success, just to get up there and promote yourself and you know, and have that ambitiousness. But yeah, in spiritual life, this will not bring about that empowerment. And I mean, we can very clearly see this also on our first generation of Prabhupada disciples, you know. They were willing to sacrifice their life for Prabhupada. Do anything, whatever he wants, you know. Sometimes we hear Prabhupada disciples saying, if Prabhupada would have told me to jump off the, you know, 20th, you know, floor there of a high-rise building, I would have done it. Of course, Prabhupada would never give such a ridiculous instruction. But no, they were saying this just to express that mood of surrender, that whatever Prabhupada was saying, they would be willing to do. This unflinching faith and surrender in service, you know, not caring for one's personal comfort and this and that, you know. Yeah, and as a result of this genuine mood of service, you know, many of this first generation devotees got actually empowered to do so many things for Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mission. So, I mean, in these early days, there was no Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti course and all these things, you know. So, of course, we don't want to minimize the importance of study. But sometimes I feel we may be becoming too much, you know, we are hunting too much after all kinds of certificates and, oh, I've done this course, that course, the other course, so now I can preach. Or sometimes people say to me, oh, can I have your materials? Then I can give that seminar too. Well, it doesn't quite work like that. You know, you're just getting the materials, hunting after materials, and then, oh, I can do it too. No, you know, there is a whole process, you know, that we have to first perform tapasya and purify the heart, and then we get maybe some little merciful empowerment there of the Lord and some blessings and so on, you know, and then maybe we can do something, you know. But yeah, it's not just a question of hunting after different materials and courses or something, you know. Yeah, so this is quite an important thing to understand. And also I find it very reassuring that we don't have to plan a whole career or something, you know. Of course, yeah, we should cultivate a desire to serve, and we may have some ideas how we could serve, but this should not be pursued with this ambitious false ego drive, because false ego contaminates everything, you know. Yes. Yes. I mean, there's also statements in the Shastra, you know, that, for example, especially in regards to writing, the order has to come from above, you know. Yes, we have to be asked to write or preach or some whatever, you know. But if we think, oh, I want to become a famous author and I'm going to write some books now, and, you know, not the right mood, you know. The order has to come from above. There's also stories in Mayapur when Prabhupada was on the planet, and he actually asked one disciple who was good in artwork, he asked him to paint some paintings, you know, some of paintings depicting Krishna's and Mahaprabhu's pastimes on the boundary wall there. So, and then this artist didn't only make the paintings, but he also put some Bengali or Sanskrit, can't remember what, some verse there on the top. So, and Prabhupada was reading the verse, where did you get this from? Oh, I composed it. Oh, Prabhupada was smashing him into pieces. What is this? Who do you think you are that you can compose your own verses? You know? And he instructed him, no, you should write verses from our previous acharyas there if you want to write any verses. But you know, this whole thing, oh, I am a great poet and look at my verses and here everybody should read them. This ambitious false ego drive, you know, because composing verses, this is a pretty transcendental affair. So you need a bit of empowerment of Krishna there, you know? Yes. And not just thinking yourself as a great poet and the whole world should read your verses or something that you are composing. No, that's the ambitious false ego drive there, you know? Yeah, so it's quite an important thing to understand, you know? But then also, let us understand that the false ego is not all bad. It also has some little good part in it, because at least it gets us going. You know, at least it gets us hopping. You know, we're doing something. So initially, you know, that false ego drive, that false ego motivation, yeah, it is there and it's okay. So at least it helps us to engage ourselves and be busy at service. But at least we have to be clear that eventually we have to purify it. And eventually we have to come to this point of simply wanting to serve, right? Yes. But initially, yeah, at least it gets us out of tamaguna. So we can say, yeah, false ego should be dissolved, given up, but not too quickly. Otherwise, we drown in laziness and sleep in tamaguna and we don't do anything. So, yeah, and in the beginning stage, definitely the false ego motivation is a stronger motivating force. Definitely, you know, than the motivating force of, I want to serve Guru and Krishna and the Vaishnavas. No, we're not quite there yet, you know. So it's almost like Krishna tricksing us, you know, into serving. Like, for example, in Grihastha life, the false ego motivation is quite an important one, actually. That sense of ownership is an important motivating force for a Grihastha. My family, my house, my car, you know? Yes, that makes him responsible and dutiful. Yes, I mean, I don't know what your temple cars look like, but the temple cars is always a good example. So if it's a temple car, usually it's pretty badly maintained. Everybody drives it, knocks it around. Nobody ever washes it. Hardly anybody serves it, services it. You know, often the temple cars are bombs. But if it is my car, oh, then of course I'm taking very nicely care of it. You know. So that's why in community life, it's good to give some little sense of ownership, even for the temple cars. So here you got the keys, it's your car, you take care of it, you know. Then we become more dutiful, you know. I remember as a new brahmachari, I had my Sankirtan car, and this was my car, and nobody could use it, and they had to ask me for permission to use it. You know, so yeah, so I made sure it was clean and in good condition, you know. But if it's just Krishna's car, you know, then yeah, then nobody takes properly care of things, you know. So yeah, just a little example to get the point across. How this I, me, and mine in our neophyte stage is necessary to become responsible. Yes, yes. And especially in regards to Grihastha life, we can observe this, that, yeah, this I, me, and mine does motivate people to really give their energy, you know? Because naturally, if there's children, you want to pass something down to your children, and so that I, me, and mine gets people going. And then the purifying duty of the Grihastha ashram is to give in charity. So that purifies the I, me, and mine, you know? Yes. And then if we seriously practice and so on, then eventually we reach that stage of detachment and understanding actually it's all Krishna's anyway. And same also for ladies, you know, I often see it when the ladies are in the Brahmacharini ashram. So for some years it's good, but then at a certain point, oh, no energy, 5 hours service, oh my God, so many hours, I need a day off, and, you know, but then when they're married, oh, they're flying, you know, making so many things, cakes and this and that for the husband, the kids. So again, this my children, my husband is Krishna's trick to help us learn to serve, you know? Yes. So, and then eventually we should get there that we have that same mood of service, not only towards our family members, but towards the general devotees, you know? So that's why God's ego is not all bad, but it has a good portion of good aspects there also, because at least it gets us going, you know? Yes, but it has to be identified and it has to be understood that, yes, eventually I have to let go of this false ego motivation force, you know. And I mean, we also have to be honest, a good portion of our satisfaction in Krishna consciousness does come from false ego satisfaction. Yes, of course, of course. On Sankirtan, oh, I've distributed so many books, Kijai, and you know, yes, yes. So it's there, it's there. But then as we go along the journey, you know, Krishna also arranges so many situations where we have to let go of this false ego satisfaction. Again, book distribution, good example. We will have so many bad days, you know, where we are not the big hero and the number one or something. So then we have to learn to, you know, be equipoised in success and failure, happiness, distress. And we have to learn to just become attached to the service rather than the result, you know. But even at being attached to a certain service, we can say, well, maybe there is a bit of false ego gratification, you know. Better even is to be attached to just serving. That would be better, you know. Just wanting to serve, no matter what kind of service. But as long as I only want to do this service or that service, well, it means we are enjoying some kind of subtle gratification there, you know? And sooner or later we have to give it up, you know? As we get older, our main service may be to go and Sankirtan or to address the deities. But it's just, let's be clear, it's just a question of time until we won't be able to do it anymore. You know, old age gets us to this point. So, you know, if we are not learning to just be attached to serving, even if it's Shravanam, Kirtanam, you know, then we may fall into some big depressions and feeling of, oh, now I'm nobody, I can't do anything anymore, nobody appreciates me, I can't be on the altar or on book distribution anymore, you know, and then we get all depressed and morose and all this. Well, that comes when we are hanging on to this little false ego gratification, which the service brings, no doubt, you know. But if we don't make a shift there, some paradigm shift, then yeah, we can almost fall into some big hole there and some vacuum and depression and so on, you know. But yeah, if we are mindful that yes, I will have to come to this point of simply being eager to serve, even if it means I can only hear or chant, you know. So yeah, that journey is ahead of us for most of us. All right, so we touched upon a few things. Let me see if we have any questions. I think we are supposed to go to 9, right? Is that all right? Okay, so let's see if there are some questions, since it's all pretty practical topics. Yes?
Thank you so much, Mataji. How would we test ourselves if our false ego is acting, or we are in the real mode of service?
Well, usually it comes out in serving in the association of devotees, you know, the false ego motivation. Well, it's the mode of passion. And Bhagavad Gita tells us passion always ends in distress, right? So sooner or later it will come up. We will be exposed. Some conflict comes, you know, or we are designated to do a certain service, but then somebody else does it, and oh, we get all upset, and or somebody corrects us, and oh, false ego is rebelling and protesting, and so it will show in our, you know, in our mood of service sooner or later, you know. Yes. But yeah, the more we hear about these topics and then reflect, introspect, ask ourselves, am I really serving here, or am I trying to control and, you know? So then we maybe can detect it even before the conflicts and tensions start. But that's why it is so purifying to serve in the association of devotees under senior guidance, you know? So the more we put ourselves in the fire of service, the stronger the purification takes place. Sometimes people say, oh, at the temple, you know, there's always some tension, this, that, so many troubles. Oh, I rather just stay a little aloof and I just come whenever I feel like it. Well, then we are missing out, you know, because the problem is not the temple. No, the problem is in our hearts. And when we serve in the association of the devotees, then it comes to the surface. It's like boiling the butter and making ghee, you know. If we make ghee, so all the foamy stuff comes to the surface, so we scoop it off and throw it out, and then until we get the ghee and all the milk solids are purified, you know, and scooped away. So exactly that's happening when we serve in the association of devotees. That's why Prabhupada always was saying cooperation, you know, your love for me will be shown in how much you cooperate. So this cooperation is just such a challenge in Kali Yuga, because it's the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. You know, so cooperation, what does it mean? We have to subdue our false ego. And it's not just my way and all that, but we have to adjust and you know, accept other people's ideas and opinions and so that's all challenging for the false ego, you know. So the more we put ourselves in service in the association of devotees, the more the heart will become purified. Yes. If we stay aloof, we sit in our cozy home, or I chant nicely, do my puja. We can imagine, oh, I'm such an advanced devotee. I'm doing a bit of things on internet there and all that. Some internet service. Well, it's pretty easy because you're doing your thing how you want it, when you want it, and okay, don't disturb me, don't push me, But when you're serving in the association of devotees, that's a whole different thing then, Yeah, so we should not think that, just because there's something that irritates me there at the temple, that's why I'm not better to go there. Wrong conclusion. And I hear this quite a lot when I travel around, that people say, oh yeah, temple, I just come sometimes. But yeah, then we're missing out. We are the ones who miss out. Anything else? And I mean, let's also remember that in the spiritual world, what is there? There's a huge community of unlimited amount of living entities, all cooperating in complete harmony, love, devotion, making the most enjoyable arrangements for the Lord. So do we really want to go there? So then we better learn to fit in, So that's what we're doing here. We're practicing, to actually fit in and serve in the community of devotees, So in the spiritual world, there's no room for, separatism and, oh, I want to do it like this. Now, there's a whole big organizational hierarchy there. There's no chaos and everybody just does what they want or something. No. If we want to make the most pleasing arrangement, there has to be cooperation there. Yes. Yeah, we can understand there's all different groups, amongst the gopis and sakhis, and they all have leaders, and this leader does that and arranges so many others to help and assist, and so that's what it means to be the servant of the servant of the servant, That's what awaits us in the spiritual world, So yeah, we've got quite a bit of a long way to cultivate the mood to get there, Okay, anything else?
Mataji, you were saying that the false ego tricks us so that we've tried to achieve something and then we get purified. So it seems like when we do get purified, then we no longer want to do that. We want to just do some simple service. We don't want to be an achiever. So is that trying to opt out, or is that not being responsible?
Well, serving without false ego, motivation, and ambitiousness does not mean we don't accept a leading position, No, we do. If devotees want us, if we get the order, we serve. But no matter what position we take, even position of guru, what is he? Servant, who tries to, be the big man there, the big master or what, enjoy it. No, that will not last. So guru is the biggest servant, putting himself out, sacrificing himself, for the upliftment of the disciples, and yes. So that would be kind of false humility, to say, oh no, I don't want to accept any position. I don't want to, act under false ego or something. No. So that's why we have that term in ISKCON, servant leader. right? So, yeah, that's how we should lead, in the mood of servant. Yes, in the mood of servant. It's tricky, because as soon as you have to take charge, the false ego easily gets in and also wants to be a part of it. So not easy, to be a true servant while we are having a leading position.
And another question is that sometimes devotees may think, well, if I'm in the association of devotees, I will commit more offences. So it's better to live outside the association of devotees. I'll commit less offences and my spiritual life will increase. How does that work?
Yeah, don't know. I mean, of course, if a person is really in the lower modes and all this, then maybe a person may have to be a little careful, keep a little distance. But no, I mean, we should learn to function. And it's all a question of Vaishnava etiquette and culture. So that's why Krishna gives us all these different aspects of Vaishnava etiquette to help us reform, Actually, tomorrow morning, this was today just a little introduction to set the grounds. So tomorrow morning, I want to discuss one important rule of Vaishnava etiquette and culture, which we often, especially here in the Western world, we don't even know about it and we don't follow it. And, yes. Yes. So that's our saving grace, Better to be in the association of devotees and learn, how to act according to the etiquettes. I mean, like, a person has to have a certain level of being ready. Like, even when we have completely newcomers, we don't recommend them immediately to join the ashram, right? We usually wait until they accept a bit of the lifestyle and get up early and this and that, and then after a while, when they're a little more ready, then we invite them maybe first to stay for the weekend and then gradually see how they're going and until they move into the ashram. So that can be an example that, yes, we don't just immediately put a person into the fire there, otherwise we may get burned, fried, as we say, I'm fried. So yeah. But then again, also mentorship is the key, so if people actually have a mentor who helps us to identify when we commit offenses and how to do that internal work of, letting go of things and so then we don't commit so many offenses. So it has to be balanced, just to stay away from the devotees, especially if they've been around for so many years, and they're initiated and everything. Oh, well, so maybe it's time to learn, to end the association, not to commit so many offenses. Because again, what's the entity that rebels and commits offenses? It's a false ego, Yes. So if we just stay aside, we may never learn it.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Yes. Because also the way other people act towards us is like a mirror. It reflects our way of acting. So yeah, we need that mirror. And in family life, we also get it. Married life, and that's why married life is a purifying journey. And we will not last if we are not willing to work on ourselves. All right, maybe we leave it at that. So tonight we'll have first session on the Holy Name, 5 o'clock. Yeah, so it's a good combination, holy name and false ego. In the morning we work on the false ego, and then maybe in the evening we get a chance to get on deeper levels of chanting. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki, Amaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanand.
Her Grace Devaki Mataji ki jai.
Just out of interest, how many people were on the internet? So you have it on YouTube or something? Okay.